Good morning, folks, and welcome back to the Cannabis Show with Weed the People. We're bringing back Sean Merritt today. Sean is an activist, and he's an activist for the Second Amendment. He's an activist for cannabis. He's an activist for veterans. And he's brought his story to us. And first, we're going to wrap up what we did in part one. We're going to tell you what's going on now. And then at the end, we're going to tell you about Sean's plans for the future.
All right.
Because although he went through this incredible trial of pain and redemption at the hands of the VA, it all turned out well. Sean, how about if you tell us, give us a little wrap up of part one?
All right, sure. And Marcia, thank you again for having me on. And yeah, we had fun the other day. Sometimes, when you've got 20 years of pain and frustration and anger built up in you, though, and there's no easy way to be able to get a lot of this off your chest when you're finally given the opportunity to.
Yes,
it all comes out. So,
boy, did it, huh?
I know you did, but I'm just saying for your other viewers out there, why we had to leave a lot of it on the cutting room floor, unfortunately. This is a family show. We try to keep things, nice and easy going here. So I just want your listeners to understand that. But to wrap up where we were, 2005, I went into the military, or went and had an operation while I was on active duty in the military for an ilioinguinal hernia repair. My hernia was actually so bad that it was hanging into my man area, my sac. So it was a pretty bad hernia tear. And to fix it,
I can't even imagine.
Painful. But to fix it, the doctor used polypropylene mesh patch. And some people have good results with these mesh patches. For other people like myself, it's a life-changing ordeal. And again, these mesh patches are FDA approved. They're the standard first line of resort to fix a hernia. So doctors, there's nothing wrong with mesh. Let me tell you different. There's plenty wrong with it. But again, this goes into what we're talking about later with what the FDA approves and what doctors say is good for you and all this kind of stuff. So I get med boarded out of the military. I finally get into the VA. I move out here to California. I'm in the process of doing medical marijuana activism and also at the same time, still trying to get surgery through the VA, who's making me jump through all these hoops. And I think where we're at now is this is when they really start putting the screws to me. They don't like, and by they, I mean the government, those in power, the elites.
Right.
They do not like somebody who stands up and speaks out against whatever view it is that they hold. If they say the sky they say that the grass is blue and the sky is green, if you stand up and say, wait a minute, no, sky is blue, grass is green, they're going to make your life a living hell any way they can. And it doesn't matter if you're somebody like Donald Trump, look what all they're doing to him, or with all the power and money he's got, or, just some average Joe like myself. So, again, they had me set up finally to see a surgeon in Mather. And Marcia, I can't remember if I sent you this file or not. But when I finally did get to see a surgeon, this is what he said. It should be that op report that says this soldier is, it would be helpful to have him observed. Yeah, if we could pop that up real quick.
Let me see if I can find it real quick here.
All right. Well, while you're looking for it, I'll go ahead and say some more about it again. Now, keep in mind, folks, that I'd already seen, a specialist back on the East Coast before I moved out here who said that, look, you definitely need surgery. I had another surgeon from the Wilmington VA in Delaware that also said, look, you need a surgery. It does come with risk. You could lose your right testicle. These kind of things. Now, the only surgery I've ever had in my life, besides getting my tonsils taken out, was the one I had in the military that left me crippled. So you can imagine being told that, and they told me that one was going to go fine. So, I mean, you can imagine my state of mind, being told, oh, well, now you might lose a right testicle if you go get this fixed. And
Right.
so surgery, having another one, even if they said it could fix me, was not something I was looking forward to. I mean, the only thing in my mind that was going on was, okay, well, how much worse am I going to be when I wake up this time? You know? So anyway, I go see the surgeon, and this is what he put in his official report now. And this is what the government does, you know. Disabled appearing young man walks with cane and help. Would be very useful to have someone observe him when he is not at clinic and not knowing if he is being observed. How much is real and how much is presentation is unknown to me. This is the worst disability I have ever seen from a hernia repair, if it is at all real. Now, the
Whoa.
reason you can go up top real quick before you click off, it says AP, repeat CT workup for possible thymoma. So again, the reason that they actually sent me to this surgeon wasn't for my leg. The reason they sent me to
Which
this
you've been
surgeon,
trying to get done for so
right,
long.
what
Yeah.
I've been trying to get done for years. The reason they sent me there is because they saw that I had an enlarged thymus, and the doctor I had at the time told me, you've probably got a thymoma, which is a cancer of the thymus.
Oh my
So
gosh.
they tricked me, one, to get me to finally go see this surgeon, because I'm telling you, I wasn't going to let the VA cut on me again if I had an ingrown toenail, you know. So
I'm right there with anything right now.
right,
I might let them set a broken arm.
maybe, yeah. About the only thing in
Maybe.
my view that the VA is good for is if you got to get, tests done. You can go right there to the VA. They'll give you your X-rays, your CTs. They'll do all that for you. Or getting your medications on time. And even then, when it comes to your medications, your vitamins or your pain meds or whatever, they've got games they play there, which we're going to get into in a little bit too, where they like to carrot and stick veterans, and mostly stick. Ain't a whole lot of carrots that they hand out. But anyway, so I finally see this report when after a week or so, because I request copies of all my reports. And veterans, you need to do the same thing. Get copies of everything. Every test, doesn't matter, because the VA will lose it, and or they won't be able to find it. And when you need it, when you file your claims, you can say, here it is right here. Or for instances like this, where you've caught them, saying that, oh, this guy's just making it up, which this began a whole other process for me, much like what I went through in the Army. Because again, here's another doctor, here's another surgeon. Oh, this guy's just making it up. He's making it up to get benefits. He needs to be observed. And if you think that the almighty government is not going to spend some resources to have people observed or watch, you've got another thing coming. I mean, anything they can do to make your life miserable, they will do it. So instead of getting help for this possible thymoma that I had, instead of getting help for my leg, now I'm being told that I'm probably going to be watched, that I need to be observed. And the thing is,
Oh
with,
my
with
God.
PTSD, post traumatic stress disorder, one of the big triggers is that the government's out to get you. That's one of the big things with
Well, sure.
But if the government actually says in their reports that they're out to get you,
Well, we've gone to a whole new level, huh?
yeah, this is beyond crazy. But then again, when you raise in your own defense these kind of issues and you stand up for yourself, that's the game they play. They say, oh, that's just part of his mental illness, part of his PTSD, him standing up for himself like this and saying the government's out to get him, even though it's right there in the paperwork where they say they're out to get me.
I'm so sorry you had to
So
go through all that.
that's the game with the VA. This is the government.
Well,
So
you're
again,
trying to, yeah, go ahead.
my mood at the time is getting a whole lot worse. I'm getting to the point now where my leg's not being taken care of. This possible thymoma, which is cancer, that's not being taken care of. I'm trying to do activism and everything else. And now the VA saying, oh, well, this guy's crazy. Let's go put him in mental health, get him loaded up on benzodiazepines and mood pills. And, we'll get his issues corrected that way, which you can't fix a problem in your head, with surgery between your legs, and you can't fix a problem between your legs, throwing mood pills at somebody. And my problem was in my groin area from that botched hernia operation. So, but this is how the government acts today too. Look at what they're pushing and sponsoring and getting behind as far as education goes.
Oh yeah.
And the youth. But anyway, so at first they start loading me up on, sleeping pills because I can't sleep now. And who could? They're in pain, 24 hours a day. You're stressed out and now you've probably got cancer. I mean, who would be able to sleep? you know? So their answers to throw these, sleeping pills at me. And on top of that, they say, oh, well, here, we'll throw you these Valiums. Now, these Valiums will have a synergizing effect with your, you know, opioids that you're taking for pain, and it'll actually help them work better. And I was like, I've never tried any mood pills in my life, but at this point, I'm doing what I can try to do to get these people to understand that something's wrong and I need some actual help. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll just go along to get along till, somebody realizes, hey, look, that's not the issue this guy's having. He's got some physical stuff going on, and maybe we need to take a look at that. So start taking the Valium, start taking the morphine, and I start noticing that I'm having a lot more than a synergizing effect with these. I mean, I'm having issues
Right.
remembering things. I'm having issues where I wake up and I'm unable to breathe. Like, your eyes open, your eyes are awake, your head's awake, but the rest of your body is just completely comatose. Like you can't breathe. I mean, that's some scary shit. you know.
I can't even
So
imagine, Sean.
I go to the doctor again and I tell the mood doc there at the VA, what's happening. Oh, well, we need to change that out on you and get you on something else. So then they bump me up to Valiums from Clonopin, which is what they had me on the first time. So then they bumped me up to Valiums. So now everything's getting a whole lot worse. Now they're getting more intense, waking up not being able to breathe. So I start doing my own research and come to find out you're not supposed to be prescribed benzodiazepines if you're on opiate medication because it leads to pulmonary arrest.
Oh.
Now, how is it that these doctors at the VA who know so dang much, or they claim to, did they not know that? Were they doing this on purpose? So I go in again to see this doc at the VA, and I'm like, look, it's getting a whole lot worse. I'm still waking up and I can't breathe. I'm having all kinds of other issues now. Her response, take more. Well, that was all the proof I needed. They're trying to kill me at this point, Take more. Oh, you're waking up and you can't breathe. Oh, just double that. Take more.
Take more.
Take more. That's their answer to it. So I slapped the pad out of her hand, and of course, she calls the VA cops. They got to drag me out of there, and I get a phone call later that day saying, we're discontinuing all your medication. So that was all my pain meds, my mood pills, everything. They're just going to discontinue all of it, cold turkey. So not only did I have to go through an opiate withdrawal, but I had to go through a benzodiazepine withdrawal. Now, I know some of your listeners out there probably also listen to Jordan Peterson, or they've heard about him, but he went through something similar a few years ago. And I would much rather go through just an opiate withdrawal or an alcohol, any kind of withdrawal you can imagine would be better than going on a benzodiazepine withdrawal. Because for me to try and sit here and describe it to you, it was like I was watching a movie every day about myself where I was a ghost just drifting through life, pretty much.
That is ugly.
There's that. I'd be out in public trying to shop and get groceries. I'd get these, whole body spasms and shakes.
I actually remember some of that.
It was horrible. It was horrible. Or I'd be sitting there talking to somebody and I'd fold right up just like a folding chair. You talk about some scary shit.
Yeah.
It's bad enough I didn't have control over pain or control over my leg, but now my whole body's
shutting down or
rebelling against me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So at that point, I decided, you know what? There's no way in hell I can do these two things at the same time. I've got to step away from one and try to get my health going again, try to get my health back on track. The thing is that benzodiazepine withdrawal, it's not like a if you've been on them for a little bit, like I was, I mean, even if you're on those benzos for a year or 2 years, it's not like a 3-day withdrawal and you're back to normal like it is for opiates. I'm talking it can last a year, 2 years. I mean, it's a long, drawn out thing.
It has taught your brain to work in different ways.
And that's exactly what those mood pills do. They rewire, everything in your head. They completely rewire your brain. So it wasn't until about 2013, maybe 2014. And again, this happened in 2012, 2011, or 2010, 2011, that I actually started somewhat feeling like myself again. So there's about 2.5, 3 years where, and I'm still dealing with, whatever this thymoma is, I'm still dealing with, all this pain in my leg. And I finally get a different doctor, and because again, they made me go to in order to get my pain medications back, I had to start going to the drug classes there at the VA.
That's insane.
Again, that's how they carrot and stick you. If you want your medications back, you got to go to these drug classes with all the other guys in there, because we think that that's your issue. You've got a drug problem.
Well, they did that on the outside too. Everybody here in Reading, and I haven't had a problem with those things myself. I took myself off opioids when my back healed. I didn't wait for them to mess with me because I knew they would. But
that's how
out here. Suddenly, remember Dr. White, the pill doctor?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he got busted, and everybody had to go to mental health to get their pills.
Well, he's not the only one, because there was another doctor at the VA. In fact, the one that I just got hooked up with now, Dr. Kaplan. And this guy, let me tell you about him. I'd go in there and tell him, look, I'm in pain. I need to be back on my pain meds and everything. And he, oh, what were you on? I was on methadones. And okay, well, I'll get you back on your methadones. By the way, these methadones are worth about $20 on the street. I'm like, what? This is my doctor telling me this shit.
What?
I'm like, why would you be telling me that? What do you think? I'm out here selling pills or something? Like, what's going on, right?
Why would you even bring it up? Right.
Why would you even bring that up? And then come to find out, not too much longer after that, he'd got a DUI. He crashed his car here at the end of drunk driving, pilled up, flipped his car over at the end of Victor. That turn?
Yeah.
And Victor, he flipped his car around that. They found his car in the ditch. And of course, he was drunk and he had all kinds of methadone pills on him. So I was like, oh, well, now I know how he knows they're about $20 on the street. He's selling them himself.
Right? You wouldn't even think a doctor would know.
Yeah, he lost his license. He doesn't work at the VA anymore. I don't know where he is these days, but I mean, that's just one instance of many others.
Yeah, there's another one that's that are at the VA in prison right now too.
Yeah, but I bet he was cruising, drunk and all pilled up like that. But anyway,
yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, let's see, where are we at now? We're about 2015, 2014, 2015. So,
you're just getting back to feeling okay.
Just getting back to feeling like myself now. I've got a girlfriend now. We decided to, get our own house. She's got a brother. We want to move him in, get him off the street because he's another veteran too. So it was 3 veterans living in the same house here, and that was one problem after the other. But one instance that came out of it was we had went to the movie theater one night, and this guy, he wore a flak jacket with him everywhere he went. He wore it to church. He wore it walking down the street. He'd been to Iraq twice. He had his own issues going on.
All right. It was
but
his blankie.
I understood why he did it. So, I mean, to me, it wasn't no big deal. But he wore it to the movie theater one night. And again, there's been a lot of misconceptions about this, too, from people I know, especially back home, who have been given the wrong information and they're running with it. Like I said, he wore it to the movie theater. He got up to take a leak halfway through The Conjuring 2. He walked by some lady who was watching Finding Dory or Finding Nemo or whatever you call that movie. And she freaks out because she sees him in this, flak jacket. She runs into the movie theater and starts going, "Oh my God, there's a hostage situation," you know. So guess what happens next? He comes back from the bathroom. We get back to watching the movie. And then about 10, 15 minutes after that, all the lights in the theater come on. The movie's still kind of playing. I'm like, well, what's going on, And I turn around and look, and here comes SWAT, 10 guys all in black with their,
Uh,
rifles pointed in their faces. And I'm like, oh my God, like, what the hell? So we all get drug out of the movie theater at gunpoint. And we're all sitting in the hallway, everybody standing around laughing. And somebody goes into the theater. "It's all right, folks, we got it." Everybody in the theater clapping and laughing, like, "Oh yeah, you know, it's a real good thing that's going on here." And I'm sitting there trying to explain to the guy, "Look, we're all veterans." I show him my ID. And of course, this cop wants to laugh and make jokes about that. And I'm like, "Dude, look, he's got PTSD. We're not terrorists trying to fucking, hurt anybody. This is just what he wears out to make him feel comfortable.
And there's no
So they,
live ammo in it.
yeah, he didn't
It's
have any. He didn't have a gun. He had a knife on him. Who cares, And he had a flak jacket. Didn't have any sapping plates or nothing in it. It was just something he wore to mentally, feel good or feel
right,
okay, just to get out of the
right.
house. So they don't listen to us though. They take him, they drag him outside, they strip him butt naked in the parking lot, and make him duck walk in a circle while they're all in a circle around him. Take him to jail for 5 days. They let us go. I get home, and the first thing that pops up on my phone here is terrorist situation resolved at the movie theater. And I'm like, oh my God, now we're all terrorists. I mean,
That's how
Jesus.
I heard it. I heard it on the news.
Yep. So
And
me,
not for a minute did I think any of that was going on.
no,
Because
I
I
mean
know
anybody that
you,
knew me knew that that was BS.
right.
Anybody that knows me knows. Look, that was
Well,
one of the
you
few. That was one of the few things I had left that I could really do to enjoy myself. Again, I still got this whatever thymoma is. I still got this pain in my leg, so it's not like I can do anything active anymore. Not like I used to. So the one thing that I had where I could kind of escape was going to the movies. I used to love going to the movies. You know,
right.
After that, I don't go anymore. I stay home here. If there's a movie I want to watch, I'll watch it home here. I'll smoke, I'll drink, and do what I want to do here and watch a movie. Ain't worth it. I'm tired of people's craziness. Because again, it ain't. You could be doing the right
well,
thing,
Sean, when they
and it's
found out
not
it
you
was
got to worry about it.
you,
It's other people. Other people
right.
will get you in so much shit. But anyway,
When they
I'm
found
sorry.
out it when they found out it was you, then you had stood up against so many things in the county that I think they had a little party with you.
Oh, I'm sure they did. I'm sure they were loving that one. You know.
Right.
And again,
Go ahead.
they didn't know me because if they knew me, they knew I wasn't going to just roll over and take it. And I didn't. I mean, every single day we were up there at the jail. We had the news people show up. We had so many people in the community that actually, knew it was bullshit. They came up to support them. And I mean, for 5 days, every day we were up there, from nearly dawn to dusk, we were up there. And I mean, I gave more speeches again and I was talking and, again, still on my cane and in a lot of pain and probably should have been somewhere sitting down. But when I've had enough and I know some injustice is wrong has happened, my heart would have to be stopped beating. I'd have to have no breath left in my body at all for me not to stand up and do something about it.
That's the American spirit.
That's how we are. You know,
Yeah.
we're not going to roll over and take it from anybody, and I don't lie down for anybody. So of course, I go up there, do what I need to do, get him out of it. He gets, released from jail, his own recognizance, all the stuff taken or given back to him. And again, at this time, I kind of leaned to the left. I was a Democrat. All the Democrats, they didn't want to come out and support him. You know who did? The Republicans, Doug LaMaffa. Doug LaMaffa's office came up and supported him. They even put us in touch with a lawyer who worked for him pro bono and, got all this dropped, got all the stuff back to him. So I'm starting to have my own mini awakening at the same time that all this other stuff is going on. And the real kicker to all this is my girlfriend, who was still working at the VA. She was a peer support specialist there. Um, she had a new boss take over, and this boss that she had, plenty of times at lunch, she overheard her say that these veterans are just, faking their injuries and illnesses to get benefits. Now, I want you to remember this, lady, because she wound up getting fired at the VA, for saying that kind of shit. She then goes and gets a job at QTC here in town. Or for those people who don't know who QTC is, when a veteran gets a CMP exam rating, they're sent to QTC, and what that does is they rate you for your disabilities, turn that into the VA, and the VA looks at what they say and says, okay, this guy's such and such disabled, he gets 100%, or he gets 50%, or something like that, right?
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
So this same woman now, who saw me on the news and saw me on TV standing up for him, as soon as she gets fired from the VA and gets this job at QTC, well, then here comes the government again, wanting to put it to veterans, So I get called into QTC, and guess what? Now I've got a review. Well, imagine that, right? And who's doing my review? Oh, well, look who it is. The same woman who got fired at the VA for all that.
Gosh.
So I go in there with all my records and documentation, saying that I'm still pretty jacked up. Oh, I don't need to see any of that. I saw you on TV. I know that you're not hurt. Exactly what she said to me. I'm just going to make a note here. Thank you for coming in. What? So you're not even going to look at any of these records I have?
How dare they?
Yeah. So then, of course, the VA, I start getting letters from them saying that they're going to start cutting my benefits in half, and I'm like, hold on. What? Wait a minute. Appeal this, appeal it. And I get in touch with, Doug LaMoffa's office again, and come to find out from the secretaries there, I'm not the only veteran that she personally, took umbrage with and called in there for a review. There was a bunch of other of us in Shasta County here that she had done this to. So, the more Doug LaMoffa's office started hearing about all of our stories and everything that this woman was doing all to us, they finally had enough and got in touch with the head bigwigs there at the VA in San Francisco, for our area.
Right.
Got that woman fired, relieved of her job, for trying to screw veterans over. And they all backed off and they sent me a letter saying we're not going to further review anything as far as your record goes at this time. So, but it's just crazy again how standing up, and all it takes is somebody who's got an issue with you in the government, don't matter where they are, they will try and make your life
that's what we're all about in life and in our personal issues and in our daily life with people in our communities. We've got to stand up because it has been proven beyond any shadow of doubt that they're out to that we are they're out to get us, and that sounds crazy. I almost heard it coming out of my mouth and I had to giggle, but it's true.
Because I get it, because it sounds absolutely insane.
It really does.
It sounds like something a conspiracy theorist would say. Oh, the government's not out to get to hurt their own people. Come on now, that's something that happens in totalitarian regimes or in dictatorships or in North Korea or Communist China. It don't happen here. No, that would never happen here. Let me tell you, it's happening here. And I mean, in a way, and this is how crazy it all is, in a way, I'm glad I went through all this, because now we're getting to the end part here, and I want to wrap it up because I know we got 7 minutes left. But finally, Trump gets into office, and this, we're getting into like 2019 now, and I still haven't done anything. I've been trying to keep my head low, trying to just keep my head down, do what I got to do, because I know at this point somebody else in the government's going to try to fuck around with me or something. I finally get a letter or a call from Aaron Ryan there at Douglas Moffa's office. And she said, Trump just passed the Mission Act, right? And I was like, what? And she gets telling me about it. Because again,
what's that?
At this time, veterans had something called the Choice Program that Bernie Sanders had put through, which really wasn't much of a choice. What it was supposed to do was work like the Mission Act does. It's supposed to give you a choice of seeing either a doctor at the VA or a doctor in your own community. But every time I put in for it, and I put in it twice, to see somebody in the community, the final okay would go to some bureaucrat sitting at the VA there, some bean counter, penny pincher. And if they thought that it cost too much, they're just not going to okay it. So you really didn't have much of a choice.
That was just more of their dog and pony show, I think.
Right.
Was, yeah, come on, we'll take care of you. Whoops, nope, that cost too much.
No, sorry, not this time.
Okay.
Better luck next time you put all that paperwork in. And sorry to get your hopes up. Go back to whatever you were doing. So anyway, I get the Mission Act, and I said, well, this time I got them. This time, everything they've put me through, I'm going to find the most expensive doctor I can find, the one who specializes just in mesh repair, and hernias, the best one I can find in the state of California. And I found one in Fremont, Dr. Bill Bryan III. And let me tell you, I thank God for that, man. I really do. Him and Trump, if it wasn't for them, I'd hate to see where I'd be. Because, I mean, after everything, nearly 15 years of this, I mean, there's only so much somebody can take. And I'd like to sit here and tell you that it was all puppy dogs and rainbows for 15 years, But I mean, I had many point where I was just like, geez, I really could walk in front of a bus right now. I really could. And I mean, when you're dealing with that much pain and you're dealing with that much, opposition from people who are supposed to be helping you, and you're dealing with that much, blatant corruption and evil, And it's just like, what's the point? What is the point in doing this day in and day out? And I mean, I can understand why there's 22 veterans a day who check out. I really do. And my heart goes out to every single one of them. And I want them to listen to me. Don't give in, because when you do, that's when they win. You win when you keep fighting and you get to the end where I'm at, and you make them pay you for the rest of your life. And believe me, I'm going to live to be 120 years old, and they're going to pay me